Shalom, shalom, shalom. Young Israel, this is Brother Matthias coming with another scripture reading today for all you young folks out there. First, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, all praises due. All right. Hope y'all been reading and studying on your own, because we're going to pick up today in Genesis chapter 25. All right. Going to learn about Jacob and Esau. Jacob being our forefather and Esau being the forefather of the Edomites. All right. So let's go to Genesis chapter 25. We'll begin reading at verse 1. Okay. And it says, Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Median, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Lumim. And the sons of Median, Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. Now a concubine was another wife other than Sarah. They had more than one wife. They practiced that back then. All right. Verse 7. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived 160 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost, and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And Isaac and his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased, the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that the Most High Yahweh blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the land of R.O.I. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. All right, so Abraham, you remember he had a baby with his handmaid, which is a concubine, all right, named Hagar. He had Ishmael, okay? And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn is Ishmael, Nebahath, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mizbam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedama. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes, according to their nations. All right? So this is where you get your Arabs from. All right? And these are the years of the Ishmael, and these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, which means he prayed to the Most High for his wife, because she was barren. She didn't have any children yet. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So Isaac prayed to the Most High to impregnate Rebekah so they could have a child. And the Lord answered him. Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right? And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. Now, when it says red, this is where a lot of us got fooled into thinking that Esau was a so-called white man. He's not the white man, all right? He's the so-called Arab, all right? And I'm going to explain that because Esau ended up mingling himself among the Arabs. He took the wives of Ishmael. He took the daughters of Ishmael, which are the Arabs, and he had children through them, okay? So now when you look in the Middle East, which is what it's called, you got the Arab nations, and then you got Saudi Arabia. The Saudis are Esau, and then you got the Arab nations under them, all right? And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on it, Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bare them. That's 60 years old. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of the venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. All right? Venison is like deer meat. See, Esau was a hunter, so he went out hunting all the time. Jacob was more of a plain man dwelling in tents. All right? He lived a simple life. Esau was always out in the field hunting. Okay? And Jacob saw pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, that with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. See, Esau was out hunting as well as doing other things, which I will get into today. I want to give you a little background on Esau, all right? Just a little extra. We're going to find out why he sold his birthright, okay? And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Now, what he meant by that is our custom and the custom of any family basically is the oldest son is the one right under the father. So the oldest son is what is the heir. And then the son under that, his younger brother, he comes after him. That's the way it goes in order. But because Esau was wicked, the Most High said that the younger was going to be the beneficiary, okay, which is Jacob, which is our forefather. So this is how we ended up with the blessing, all right? And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob says, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So when it says he despised his birthright, it means he gave it up. Free and clear. Fair and square. He wasn't tricked into anything. Okay? Now I want to show y'all why Esau gave up his birthright. Esau thought he was going to be killed, and there's a reason for that. This here is called the Book of Jasher. This is one of the lost books that it goes more into detail, all right, in the scriptures, so you can get a little background on things that the Bible really doesn't give background on. Bible a lot of times gives us a more kind of vague description of what's happening. And then if you want to go further into it, you can go into different books to find out what happened. And this is one of those times we're going to do that. We're going to find out about Esau, okay? Why did Esau give up his birthright? Why did Esau give it up so easy? If you read the story, it sounds like Esau just was either lazy or, he couldn't wait till he got home. No, it wasn't it at all. So we're going to find out why Esau gave up his birthright, all right? Meaning he gave up the right to be heir, all right, or the beneficiary or the recipient or the one that's going to take possession of, all right, Jacob's blessing, which was a big blessing because we still have it. It's never going anywhere. That blessing was to be the ruler of the earth. It was to be the premier people, God's chosen people. That's what Esau gave up. He never got over that. So we're going to go to the book of Jasher. And if you ever get a chance, You can either download it or you can buy the book. It's called the Book of Jasher, Jasher. Okay, we're gonna pick up in chapter 27. This talks about Esau and why he was so tired when he came to Jacob and gave up his birthright. All right, starting at verse 1. And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went into the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field, and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. So, Esau's out there hunting. Nimrod's out there hunting with his mighty men. He has soldiers with him. All right. Verse 3. And Nimrod was observing Esau, so he was watching him from afar all the days. For a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all those days. So Nimrod, the king of Babel, didn't like Esau. Probably because Esau was a killer like him. All right. And on a certain day, Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they were moved at a distance from him. So Nimrod had a certain amount of soldiers with him, but they hung back, and then they just sent 2 armed security with Nimrod. All right. But they were moved at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. So Esau was hiding out there in the field. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were. When Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod, and cut off his head. So Esau killed Nimrod. He cut his head off. All right. And Esau fought a desperate fight with 2 men that were with Nimrod. And when they were called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. So Esau murdered Nimrod by cutting his head off. And then he also assassinated both guards that were with him by himself. And all the mighty men of Nimrod who had left him to go to the wilderness heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those men, and they ran to know the cause of it, when they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land, and he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men, and he came unto his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die, through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. So the Bible picks up just telling you that Esau was in the field, but it never told you what he was doing out there. He had just murdered 3 men, 3 very important men. So, of course, there was a hit out on him, all right? And they were going to find Esau and kill him. That's why he gave up his birthright, okay? So, verse 12, and he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want the birthright? And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this manner, and Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord. And Esau's portion in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial ground, Esau also sold to Jacob. And Jacob bought all this from his brother Esau for value given. And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book. And he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it. And the book remained in the hands of Jacob. So all this is on record. Okay. So Esau didn't get duped. Esau didn't get taken advantage of. He willingly gave up his birthright. Right. 15. And when Nimrod, the son of Cush, died, his men lifted him up and brought him into consternation and buried him in his city. And all the days that Nimrod lived for 215 years and he died. So Nimrod lived to be 215 years old, man. And the days of Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land were 185 years, and Nimrod died by the sword of Esau. All right? Wait a minute, let me read something. Okay, I want to be sure I got that right. And Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt, and the seed of Abraham caused his death as he had seen in his dream. So, the seed of Abraham is what killed Nimrod, all right? That's how they see it. And at the death of Nimrod, his kingdom became divided into many divisions, and all those parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to the respective kings of the land, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod. And all the people of the house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved to the other kings of the land. So, when Nimrod was killed by Esau, Nimrod's people paid the price for that, because Nimrod, his kingdom lost its power, and then the people were put into servitude to the other nations. They were enslaved, so they weren't too happy about that. All right, now that we know what happened with Nimrod and Esau, let's go back to Genesis chapter 26. And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him, and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. For he feared to say, She is my wife. Lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. Now, y'all know Abraham did the same thing with Sarah. Ain't that something? Like father, like son. Same lie, same reason. Verse 8, And it came to pass, when he had been there for a long time, that Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is thy wife. And how saidest thou, She is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, Lest I die for her. And he said, I told y'all she was my sister, because y'all wouldn't kill me if you knew that she was my wife. And Abimelech said, What is this that thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lied with thy wife, and thou should have brought guiltiness upon us. He said, You shouldn't have did that. One of my men might have laid down with her and put our whole nation in trouble, because Most High don't play back then, man. He don't play now. We just under these curses, but if they would have done that, it would have brought judgment on the whole nation for touching that one woman. We're supposed to touch her. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land, and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great, and went forward, and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with the earth. So every time they dug a well, they stopped them and then filled it back up with dirt. And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. So they were arguing about the well. And they digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well. And for that they strove out. And he called the name of that Rehoboth. And he said, for now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he came up from thence to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared unto him the same night, and said, I am the God of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee, and will multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he builded an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar at Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of the army. And Isaac said unto them, wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and ever sent me away from you? And they said, we saw certainly that the Lord was with thee. And we said, let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee, that thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now the blessed of the Lord. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. And they rose up betimes in the morning, and sware one to another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and Rebekah, because Esau was disobedient, and he took these wives of the daughters of Ishmael. Okay, so Jacob and Rebekah wanted him to take a wife from the women of his own nation, and he didn't do it. So Esau was just a hard-headed individual, man. All right, hard-headed, unaccountable, and very arrogant. So because he did this, he eventually, he was cut off from birth, but he started to live out the fact that he was rejected by the decisions that he was making. All right, so that's going to end our reading for today. All right. We read 25 and 26. So our next reading will be starting in chapter 27. All right. So as I told y'all read ahead, and I will see you next time. Okay. Study these passages, though. Study the passage that we just put up today. All right. And if you can, ask mom and dad, or if you're a young teenager or something like that, download that book of Jasher. It's free. Okay? Go to Google, punch in Book of Jasher, Jasher. Download it, and then go back through the book of Jasher, chapter 27 today, to build you up to what we just read, so that you can learn about Esau, because he's a very important figure. All right? So, this is Brother Matthias signing off, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Little people and not so little people, love y'all. All right? Can y'all see me? Can y'all see me? All right. All right. This is your Brother Matthias checking out of here, and I will see y'all shortly next time. All right? Love y'all. Shalom. All praises due. Matthias out.